Hello, farmers. It's Trevor here, and I am doing a special episode that is about the Canadian national map. And if you don't like spreadsheets, then either close your eyes or grin and bear it, I guess. Anyway, what I've done is I went and took this is my mods folder in my Farming Simulator 17 under my games, and I cut out the map, just cut and paste it over into a special folder where I tend to work on these things. And then I extract it all with Windows. You just right click and extract all. You can use the 7-zip program. There's WinRAR could even do it, but even just default Windows has the ability to do this. And so here is the results of my extraction. And if we open that up and then we come to maps, we can then see that we have a map file. What I would like to do today is actually put in pricing on the maps. And you could probably use whatever we discover here to do the same thing. If you just think the fields are too cheap or too expensive, you could probably come in and make them a lot less money. I have never done this before, though I did look into it, and I believe I'm on the right path to making something good happen. In any event, for the most part, you may think that you have to use Giant's Editor in order to edit this map file, but that's not true. It is a text-based file that you can actually directly go in. You could even just use Notepad, though I use a program, free download called Notepad++. And what it does is it's a little more friendly with, if you just open this up, it doesn't have any of this color coding. It's not, Notepad's not as friendly for searching for things or many other things. So as a matter of fact, we'll start out. What I did was I came in here and I looked and I heard, well, you go to the map editor and then you look for user attributes. And so that's what I did. I came in here and hit Control F, or you can hit edit up there and hit find. And you can even see I have the next step in the process right here. So I'm just going to cut that so I don't even have to type it again. But I came in here and hit in user at, and just said, okay, well, what do we find here? And I found some user attributes. And I said, okay, well, since I know that's what you would edit in the map editor, let me just see what they have here under user attributes. And I see things, none of this is looking like the map information, or I'm sorry, the field information. So I just kind of came down and went through it and, eventually said, well, I don't know. Wait a second, what is this? Field price scale, field area. And one of the problems with this map is he hasn't set it up. And I bet you the reason is because it seems like this might be a bit of work. But all of these were set at 1 or 90 here. So field angle, don't know what that means. The scale price is set at 1. Now, I know from being in the map that all the fields cost $81,000. So I said to myself, well, I need to go in and calculate the area, must have something to do with it. So that's where this spreadsheet comes into play. What I did, and I'll show you when we get into the game on one of the fields, I'll just, I'll describe it for now. This is the coordinate if I stand at the corner of the northwest corner of field 1. These are the coordinates you see on the mini map. If I went down to the southeast corner, the diagonally opposite corner, I had these. If I take my distance here, just because this number is higher, and subtract it, I get the distance of x. If I double click, you can kind of see that. D5 minus B5. So that's the x distance of the field, how long the field is along the x. By the way, x was right to left, just that's the typical way people do it, and y is usually up and down on the map. And again, it doesn't matter what you call it, but it works. That's sort of a standard. In any event, so you do the same thing with the y coordinate there. So now we know how long and tall the field is, how wide and tall, however you want to word it. If we multiply these two numbers together, we get the area in meters squared. I know from past videos and just experience that in the scale, those numbers down there are actual meters. so that I know that this field is 12,969 meters. Just because I'm American, or, and in this case, Canadians, I found out today also use acres, so they would be right at home with this. I converted it to acres to give me an idea of what that meant, because to be honest, this means nothing to me. I know it's 13,000 of something, and again, I know from looking on Google that a hectare, I like saying that, hectare is 10,000 meters squared. So it's just 1.9. Divide that by 10,000, you get 1.29, 1.3. What I then did was went to Google and looked at the parts of Canada that actually had some farming. I think it's awful cold, and a lot of it's tundra further up north. But I picked Saskatchewan, and I said, well, what's the farm value of Saskatchewan, which is sort of like right in the middle of the southern part of, it's a big area, but that's where it seems like there's as much farmland in Canada as kind of any other place. And why not, right? Pick wherever you want. And I just looked up the prices. You can buy farmland, an acre in Canada, for anywhere between $1,500 and $3,000 per acre. And I said, well, boy, that's awful kind of cheap. It's not going to, I don't want to make it too easy in the game. So I said, well, why don't I go? And one of the prices I even saw, maybe it was some kind of premier farm, I don't know, was put it in the ballpark of 10,000. Though I have no idea why that one was. I think they were on drugs asking that much, just from the little bit of research I did. But who knows? Maybe they had gold in the ground for all I know. But it also made what I think are pretty fair numbers, for what I might put the fields at. So if I said 10,000 per acre, you can see that's 32,000. And then I got to thinking about it. It's like, well, that's awful cheap, obviously. Let me just adjust the pricing a little bit more. I did an if statement. I don't know if you guys could do this, but if there was more than 10 acres, then just use the price of K5, which is the price, 32,000. However, if it was less than 10 acres, multiply the price by 10%. And we could even change that if we want to make it a little bit stiffer. Why don't we? So there we go. So I'm going to then copy this formula down. Oops. There we go. So any of the prices that were under 10,000, under 10 acres. Yeah, did I do acres? Sorry, let me look. Yeah, acres. So anyway, you can see we're multiplying this now by 20%. And I did the same thing again with another if. If it's over 20, then give me a 10% reduction in the price. Or just use the price as it was in this column, which might have been 20% higher. So this price is 20% higher than here, but it's the same. I hope that makes sense. If not, you can rewind the video till you get it. But let's pick out one. Here's one that's over 20 hectares, and it's giving me a reduction in the price there. So I feel these prices are fair enough. I don't know. You probably didn't need to go through that much thought. Pick whatever you want. Make your prices. You can just randomly select them. But this does give some sort of a sense of that. By the time I get done, I'm not going to be that exacting about it, possibly. We'll see how it goes. So let's jump back over. Oops, into... Nope, not there. Here. So what I know about... Oh, here's another thing. I didn't know what field this was, right? So I had no idea what this represented. Like, you could assume because it's the first one, see, it's the first one that looks just like this, that it was field 1. So what I did was that point, I don't want to lose my, well, it doesn't really matter. This field scale price is how we'll get back here. But so let's just paste in this. Oops. So what I did was just took that number, pasted it in here, came up here, and look, it's the only time that number appears in this whole thing, and lo and behold, name field 1. So if you wanted to, you could probably come in and name that field after yourself. I don't know that there's any reason. You got to watch changing things, but something like a name like this, may not be a big deal. It may be linked to other places, so you do have to watch out. But look at this. I then found field 2, field 3. So I just wrote each of these numbers down, so that I would make sure I knew it was right. And then what did we say that was? Field price. And so now that I wrote each of these down just on a piece of loose leaf paper, there we go. Yep, field price scale. So we now know that when we affect this, there's a good chance that I'm changing the value in the field. So my bet is I just want to go into the map right now. Why go and change everything? I don't even know if this is going to work. But what I want to do is say, let me come over to my calculator. I know that the field, when that value is 1, oops, where'd my calculator go? Then I lost my sheet, making a mess of it. I know that the field was 81,000. So I'm expecting, if that area affects the price, that if I multiply it by 1.29, could even be 1.3. Let's do 1.3. That's close enough to it. And where's my back button? There we go. So we're going to expect that field to go up to about 105,300, just because we put this in. And then what I want to do, if that works out just like that, then I know in order to get down to my price that I have on this sheet, which I would want to make that field about 38,500, something like that, that I would need to, do the math to figure out what number I need to put in here to scale that price back down in this case. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pause the video for a minute and load up Farm Sim, and I will meet you out at field. Guys, I significantly jumped the gun. Let me close this program. And I need to come back into, oops, not that one, into this one. Let me just shrink that one. I don't even really need that one. And I just edited this. Though I don't see that I just saved it. Oh, that's right. I saved it from this morning. So we're not going to worry about it too much. It'll say 1.29. I put that in there this morning at 6 a.m. So, but what I need to do in order to get this to work, this is a significant issue, is you want to come into here and you want to send to a zip file. Now, there's other programs and ways of doing this. I don't think it matters exactly how you do that. Is it going? I see something kind of spinning. Why are you not zipping? Usually it starts like with almost like if you're copying something. Well, that's how you do it. So let me, I'll just cut the video, and unless you guys want to watch me, let's just come over here to Task Manager and see if there's a reason that it's not so busy. Let's sort it by name, apps. Yeah, it's just not working. Something's going on there, isn't it? Let's see if we can't do it with, we don't want to archive it. We don't want to add it to a RAR. Let's do a 7-zip, compress an email. So add to Canadian National Map, blah, 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 .zip. So there you go. So I'm not sure why the Windows thing's not working. It's the first time that ever happened. But 7-zip, by the way, is another free program that you can download. Works pretty well. And it also will open up like the RAR files that are a bit of a pain to open up otherwise sometimes. So there we go. So now what we'll do is when this gets done copying is I will put it back into my mods folder. And then when we open up Farm Sim, we'll be in good shape. So I will just not do all the copying back and forth each time. I'll just delete this out and replace it once we make our final edits. Let's go. There we go. So I'll just cut it out of here. I don't need too many extra copies of this floating around. Paste it in my farm sim folder, and away we go. Now I will meet you out on field 1. All right, guys, here we are. Brought the pickup truck over. And let's see what happened. There we go. So it is, remember it was the 0.29. So if I hit this button, remember that was 0.3. So we're going to do 81,000 times 0.29. There you go. So that's pretty much exactly what that was, right? Yeah, within the bounds of a couple decimal places, one off. Close enough for what I'm trying to do, that's for sure. So now the next question is if we change that modifier, the scale price, which, boy, look at that name, sure sounds suspicious. Let's see if we can do that real quick, and I'll show you what I want to do. And here, we might as well just exit out while we're here, right? Escape, quit, yes. And then we'll come back. Yep, thank you very much. Quit. I like to quit all the way out, though. It does seem like they might have made some changes where you may not have to. So we'll just, I want to edit the name. Come in here. If you just double click and you have Giants Editor. So you don't even necessarily need Giants Editor. And I don't think you need to be a programmer. I do happen to be one, which is why I'm, courageous enough to rip into things sometimes. But remember, back up. Especially if you're not real familiar. And I'm not over familiar with how this program works. But even when you are, backup is your friend. All right, so anyway, what we want to do then is say that this is the price that we have. But if I come back to this, we want it to be, oops, not this price. We want it to be 38,000, let's just call it 450. So what I want to do is divide 38,450 divided by 104, what was it? Was that right? I don't know. It's going to be close enough, especially for what I'm going to try to do here. So that is going to be, let's call it 3.68. Does that sound right? Or 0.368. So let's come into here and put 0.368. And then let's hit save. And we'll close this. And we'll come back to, not that one, that we need it open. Come back to this one, come back out. Make sure you zip the right things. Let's just try this again. Nah, look at this flashing. There's something. This computer, I don't know. It's getting time to, I think I got stuff wrong with it. It's getting time to reboot it all together. And I hate losing some of the stuff, but to be honest with you, I'll back up the things I care about. Get rid of a lot of crap that I probably just am saving and never going to go back and look at. All right, so let's do the same thing we did here before with this 7-zip. And again, hopefully you guys won't have that issue. And we'll hit that button again. While we're waiting for that, let's come over to here. We'll just delete this one back out of here again because it's just more junk. And we should be done. We'll copy this back over to the game folder. Yeah, really cut it. Let's cut it out of there. Again, this one will get trashed again too. By the way, if you go back into your map, and if you don't have this named the exact same way from your original, doesn't matter what you name it so much, but you got to keep it the same as you're going back and forth. If I decided to move this org one in here, oops, this original, where I put org at the end, it won't work. It will look like you don't have a save in that slot. So keep that in mind. It doesn't matter when you originally, I could have called this CN2. That would work just fine. And as soon as I start a save with CN2 as the name, I always have to keep it CN2 or Canadian National 2 modland.net, whatever the case is. All right, let me pause again and get the game open, and we'll be back on field one in a sec. Well, guys, here we are again. Same place. It's like deja vu. And we're going to come over here and hit the R. I haven't even looked at, and it didn't do anything. Interesting. Did I save the file properly? I'm pretty sure I did. Okay, so now we know something that didn't work. I will go back. Well, it's actually easier getting back out. Doesn't take quite as long. Well, let's just do this, and we can actually probably just get away with coming right in here to make sure that, oops, nah, it won't let me. Come back out here real quick. Time 50. Yeah, that's, oh, but wait a minute. Yeah, no, that's yeah, that doesn't appear to have worked. All right, well, let's close out Giants. But this time I'm going to save it, because that way I don't have to drive this truck all the way back here again. Not that you guys saw that, but so what I want to do this time is I want to copy this guy back, or cut it and paste it. And I want to extract all. Yeah, look, the Windows thing is extracting it fine. Now, the thing I wonder about is I should have probably renamed this one, because oh no, I just did the wrong one, didn't I? Yeah. Can I cancel? Yeah. Let's close that. Delete that. Let's come here. I'm just going to put a 1 on there so that, yeah, let's extract this guy. So this is the one that we just had in the folder. Probably open it up. Yeah, once it's in here, it's still just doing all the other stuff in here, so. Yeah. So it didn't take that, huh? Yeah, I hope that doesn't cause a problem, whatever that little error was. Might have even been. MPC index, by the way, is. Now, that's. I don't know what. That might be like who is. Yeah, so let's close that. So that didn't change the price. Field angle, what do you think that is? I don't know. I don't really want to mess with too much in here. I mean, so if I wanted it to cost a certain price, I could always do the math to say that 1.9 hectares, I could reduce this number by this amount. Does that make sense? I hope. In other words, this number is the difference between the current price and the price I want it to be. So if I take and instead reduce the area, even though it wouldn't be true, down, but you would think something called field price scale would work. But let's just change this back to 1 since it didn't seem to do anything. And I am going to take, let's see, we're going to call it 0.368 times 1.29 equals 0.285. That doesn't make sense. 0.368 times 1.29. That's right. I did something wrong, as you can tell. All right, so we're going to put that value in here. 0.47. Yeah, that's fine. 0.47. No, not in there. In here. 0.47. All right. So let's save that again. Yeah, close that. Oh, wait a second. Let me do something else. So you got to be careful with these things. No, that was right. Let's just double check here. I had a thought, but I was wrong. Yep, definitely edit at 5:46, so that was the time. So just make, you want to make sure you're not making stupid mistakes, because trust me, it's really easy to get confused and compress the wrong thing and spend a half an hour just getting the right file in there. So let's come back over to here. Let's do it by name. Yep, so we deleted that out, or cut that out of there. So once this gets done, we'll do it all over again. So why don't you get the idea now. Let me just put this in and get it fired up and meet you out at field 1 again. And once again, here we are. So, ready? Yep, there we go. So within the bounds of decimal places and just sort of being a little loose with my rounding, we've got it down to 38,000, which was about my original intention. Even though we know that this is totally wrong, and I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, who cares? I can always go look at my spreadsheet, and I don't even know what a hectare is anyway. Within the scale of the game here, what was it? Let's come back to this guy. So this field is 3.2 acres. And I did tell you that I was going to... So that's what 3.2 acres looks like. By the way, my house was on 2.5 acres. So you can imagine that, fair chunk smaller than this, but not too much. It's the size of land I live on. What I also did, and one of the advantages to doing this, all these fields were square. So, if you're not dealing with square fields, I don't think this method would work too well. But I actually came out to about this point, if we look at the spreadsheet, because I figured no farmer in his right mind is going to leave quite this large a, border around a field. I mean, this field is twice the size, I think, I bet, if you, add all that border around. So I have every intention of widening this field, plowing it all the way out to about here. So I did that with all of the fields. If we look at the map, they all have a lot of room around them. And I'm going to widen them all up if I buy them. And so know that when I say 3.2 acres, it's not just that little middle part there. Well, not little, but, the middle part. Again, I bet you it's going to darn near double the size of this field. So there you go. The other thing to mention is I said I wasn't going to modify this map too much, because if you do go and do an update, it's going to wipe out anything that you change, including changing these numbers. So, but I'll have the numbers written down. I can always come back and put them back in. And of course, it's been a little while since he's put out an update. So I fully expect him to have time off during Thanksgiving. And as soon as I get this done and buy my first field, and he's going to go ahead and give a map update. So we'll see what happens. I'm willing to take that risk. I'll just do whatever catch up I have to do at that point. Certain things will stay on the save game, other things won't. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope it was a little bit educational. Again, I try to show you some of the things I did behind the scenes. I don't want to go editing things without you guys at least understanding what I edited. And it's because if you go and get this map, much like, where you can see you own all those fields, but we don't own field 1, so, that's what I want to do, is make it so all the fields are purchasable. And by the way, you can change who owns the field, like this guy James Harris does. And I believe that's in the save game file, if I'm remembering right. Well, now that I mention it, let me go show you that spreadsheet one more time. Let's hit this. And there's our spreadsheet. And what I'm thinking we'll do is, because we know 81,000 is the field price, but we want to get it down to this. We know that multiplier, we know that if we take 81,000 equals 1, you know what I mean? Like, so each hectare is going to equal, $81,000. So what we need to do, let's think about this. So we need to take this number, divide it by 81,000, right? And then multiply it by the hectares. And we got to put this around there so we get the right math. No, that's not right. We want 81,000. Sorry, I'm having a mental moment. We want the price to be this. So instead of putting 1 in there, here, let me do this. This might help me think it through. No, I know what I'm doing wrong. We don't want to. We don't know this number. So yeah, this is how I would solve this. 81,000 is to 1 as 38,456 is to X. So if you solve for X, so that I'm pretending there's little equals here. I'm going to switch this, and 1 is just 1. Yeah, I'm really making that harder than it needs to be, isn't it? So it's going to be this, just this divided by that. Now remember the $ trick I showed you? Other videos, maybe? Well, that's not dollars, but 0.47. So what do we have in there now? Select it. .47. Yep. Oop, that's not what I wanted. Sorry. Come on, get back here. There you go. So let's make that not format cells number. 2 decimal places. Well, let's get 3 decimal places. There you go. That's better. So this is the number that we would put in there under the hectares in order to get it to be the right price. And I may spend a little bit of time trying to figure out if there's another way to get that price changed. But to be honest, I'm not going to worry about it too much because the price is the important part. So I will go type these numbers in where they belong, and I will see you guys out on the farm in the next episode. And we'll be ready to buy at some made-up cockamamie price that I came up with a lot of thought, more than you probably needed. Anyway, take care, guys. See you.